And just like that, we are back. Special thanks to TJ, who literally had to get back to Pristine Pool and Spa. They're on 3410 North Eagle Road, right by my restaurant. Have you ever been to my restaurant? It's called Famous Dave's.
Yeah.
What was? Something funny? So, Chris, I had somebody email me about the show, and they said, I hear Chris refer to shadow inventory. Now, obviously, in your business, you know exactly what that is and what it's all about. Explain to our listeners, first of all, what is shadow inventory?
Well, for example, it's like when Tim Bungard from the CEO and president of Pioneer Title was on a few weeks ago, and he discussed it, and that's when it really kind of started that buzzword.
Okay.
People in our industry happen to use the terminology shadow inventory because you hear it from, talk about the big banks, B of A, Citi, Chase, et cetera. And shadow inventory would be what we're referring to is these banks have been sitting on these foreclosed properties. They've been holding them off the market, thus in turn not crashing a marketplace, which means so they would be holding on to inventory in a place like Las Vegas that's been having a really hard time. So if the bank comes on, throws all this new REO inventory, what happens to the normal home seller? What happens to the marketplace? It just goes tumbling down and crashes. When we refer to that, and I discuss it, foreclosures are down 53% in Ada County from their all-time high. And when you look at shadow inventory, there really isn't any there. When you look at inventory levels being where they're at, in the 2,000 range in Ada County, 2,700 total in Boise, including Canyon County. There's no reason why these banks wouldn't be putting these houses on the market if they were out there. We've done some research and we look, there is shadow inventory out there. But I'm here to just tell people from Boise, it's not. It's in places like Florida, California, New York's got quite a bit of it from what the reports are out there. But in general, it's not a big concern. Am I saying there's never going to be any more foreclosures in or short sales in Boise? No. But in general, I think we've washed it out.
And I think the piece, as we kind of peel the layer of the onion, is whether you look at the newspaper, whether you're watching TV and you hear, here's what's happening in the real estate world. For the most part, they're going to take, and that's just a fact of life, they're going to take these stories from places like Las Vegas and Phoenix and different areas like that and use that as their headline. Conversely, if you look in the Treasure Valley and you've supported it with your inventory numbers, that's really not the case here.
Well, it isn't really the case. And I think for the most part, historically, Boise, they're not used to the rise and fall of these big waves that you'll see in California and some other areas, which, we're seeing now again. You look at inventory numbers, you look at transactions dropping from 2005, and they just keep dropping and dropping and dropping. And then, bam, now we're back on track to start doing some good numbers again. New construction sales prices are jumping. All these different activities are happening that are a good sign of another upswing in the marketplace. Now, again, you have to realize that lending is not going to get back to where it was again, where you just walk in and, you quote which is, how much money you make a year and you have zero down and you're walking into a $350,000 house. It's not happening. I highly doubt it'll ever happen again due to the financial crisis back in 2008. So in my opinion, for example, you look at inventory levels in Ada County under $150,000. So you look at $150,000, they're 50% off of where they were last year. So when you look at the numbers and structure there, if a house pops on like we talked about, there's only 3 months of inventory. So now instead of 4 months of inventory, you start looking at a smaller dynamic range like 150 and less in Ada County. That number drops to 3 months now. So now you have more of an urgency. So next month, will it be 2 months? There's no crystal ball like we always talk about, but that's where I want people to live in Boise in general to understand that that's kind of what you need to understand of what's going on in the marketplace is we are tweaking, and in my opinion, we're going to see a little upswing in the market here over the next 12 to 18 months, and I would not be surprised at all to see any between 8 and 12% in some pockets.
You're listening to the Real Estate Radio Show featuring Chris Lofthus of the Chris Lofthus Group at Keller Williams Realty. We come on each and every Saturday at this time here on 580 KIDO. If you want to reach out to Chris, you can get a hold of his team at 350-6228, 350-6228. You can go to his website. It is chrislofthus.com. chrisloftus.com. And Chris, we refer to Boise a lot just as I look across the way and I see the Broncos practicing, Coach Pete, and we're on Broadway. But you cover the entire spectrum of the Treasure Valley, whether somebody says, hey, I've got something in Nampa, I'm in Eagle, I'm up on Meridian, I'm here. You cover the whole area. So sometimes I'm the one that's always saying, hey, here in Boise, but we're referring to the whole area.
Yeah, and when we do refer to these numbers and refer to what my company does in general, the Chris Lofthus Group, of course, we cover the whole gamut of the area from Canyon County to Ada County, and all the areas in between. But the one thing I really want to get out to people is you look at now what's going on with we always say inventory levels, but it's such an important number to look at that you have to watch it, because right now on the investment opportunity side, most people have to have a place to live. So the fact of the matter is, whether you're selling and downsizing or whether you're looking to buy a house, you could not find a better time to buy a house with everything that's going on between lending and the opportunity now with new construction. And that's why I'm always pushing people on the resale side to get their house on the market, because that new construction is going to become competition. Annette and I just got done talking this morning. The Parade of Homes is just around the corner. And as we know, you're going to see a lot of people out looking around. Well, now when we have all those people out looking around, if your house isn't on the market and you're on that same street, even though you're a resale, which your typical be resale in the marketplace, people are going to be looking out there. Trust me.
Yeah, and something I noticed too, when I can tell what the market is, when we look at the Parade of Homes, and that's what about 10 days into May, early in May, because I know one of our guests has to hurry up in terms of getting his place all buttoned up. When we start seeing these Parade of Homes and they say sold on them, people go, well, this one's gone.
Right.
That kind of gives you a feel right there. Hey, I love it. Well, too bad. We sold this already. So that gives you a good indicator of the inventory.
Well, it's a great indicator of the inventory, and we've done the same thing like we talked about the waterfront district down there, with how much we've sold down there, which is they're not even done. I mean, we're selling them. So right. When you look at what's going on in the parameters of new construction, and something's selling before it's even done, and and that's kind of like we talk about that little chess match going on between buyers and sellers right now. You have a lot of buyers that are saying, God, I'm not going to pay, I'm not paying $350,000 for that house over there in Spurwing Greens, or $450 or $550 or whatever it is, and they look back, and then next thing you know, it's pending, and someone's walked in and bought it. That's what I'm talking about the chess match that's going on, because you have some buyers that are getting information, whether it's from their agents or from their friends, that, hey, no, you can still get a great deal, which you can historically, but you're not going to get the screaming deal like you were getting 1-2 years ago.
Yeah, it's time to move if you're going to move, and we can't think of a better person to help you out than Chris Lofthus of the Chris Lofthus Group. You can log on to chrislofthus.com or clgeagle.com. He's there at Keller Williams Realty. The number again, 350-6228, 350-6228. Man, Chris, an hour flies by, but we've wrapped up the show. Thank you, TJ. And Chris, as always, great information you bring to our listeners.
Yeah, we love being on the show, and we really are doing our best to give our clients and people out there in general the best information we possibly can, whether they're buying or selling, or whether they just want some information. And like I always say, you can call me direct to 514-5003 is my direct cell phone, and I'd be happy to answer anyone's questions.
All right. And if you missed anything at all, you can send them an email. But like we said, Annette, appreciate all her help producing the show today. You can go to the website, and she's got all the shows on there, chrislofthus.com. Kim Commando is next. We'll see you here next Saturday.